Welcome to Read the Room, hosted by Miss Grewal
and Ms. Young. This is your brand new podcast all about reading that will keep you inspired, entertained, and in the know. This month's theme is NonFiction November, dedicated to help you celebrate the joy of information and fact books, and hopefully encourage you to read more non-fiction books than you ordinarily would.
Let's quickly remind ourselves of the difference between fiction and non-fiction. Any writing that is about real events or real people is non-fiction, whilst fiction is about stories that have been made up. Non-fiction includes biographies, diaries, letters, reviews, magazine articles, and remember, when we are talking about reading, it's not just books. Listening to podcasts and audiobooks, reading magazines, comics, manga, and graphic novels all counts too.
So let's start in the recommendation room with some non-fiction favourites. For Year 7, we recommend Stolen History by Sathnam Sanghera.
Did you know that the words bandana, bungalow, candy, loot, and thug are not English words, but have their origins in India? I know what you're thinking. How did words from India end up in the English language? Well, that's because of empire. From the words we use, the food and spices we eat, the sports we play, countries like India and most Caribbean nations are big on cricket, but this is actually a game invented in Britain. Even to every grown-up's fixation with a good cup of tea is all linked to empire.
For Year 8, we recommend Be a Young Entrepreneur.
Do you want to be the next Elon Musk? He's the guy who invented Tesla. Do you bake the most delicious cakes that people just need to try? Maybe you've come up with a new makeup product that Sephora just needs to stock. If so, you need to read Be a Young Entrepreneur. In this book, you will learn all the business advice, practical tips, real-life stories, up-to-date ideas, and inspiration you need to make a success of your first business.
For Year 9, we recommend Hidden Figures by Margot Lee Chatterley.
It's a phenomenal true story of the black female mathematicians at NASA, whose calculations helped give way to America's greatest achievements in space. Before US astronaut Neil Armstrong became the first man who walked on the moon, these female mathematicians, known as human computers, were some of the most intelligent minds of their generation. The powerful tale of race, discrimination, and achievement in the modern world. The story of these women is so inspiring that it was even made into an award-winning film.
For Year 10, we recommend Raising My Voice by Malalai Joya.
Raising My Voice by Malalai Joya is the extraordinary autobiography of the Afghan woman who the BBC called the bravest woman in the world. Malalai Joya was born during the Russian invasion of Afghanistan in the 1970s and spent her youth in refugee camps. She is the youngest and most famous female MP in Afghanistan, whose bravery in opening a secret school for girls during Taliban rule won her an international following. Malalai was suspended from Parliament in 2007 for her outspoken opinions. In 2021, Malalai was forced under threat from the Taliban regime to leave Afghanistan and live in exile. Learn how Malalai dared to speak up for the rights of women, earning her awards and death threats.
For Year 11, we recommend Good Vibes, Good Life by Vex King.
A short and easy read for our Year 11s who are busy revising, Good Vibes, Good Life is an international bestseller from London-based Instagram influencer Vex King. For 3 years of his childhood, Vex King had no fixed home. His father died when he was a baby, and his family moved between staying with relatives and housing shelters. Growing up, he experiences violence and racism in his neighborhood. In this book, Vex King shares his wisdom on how he transformed his negative emotions. Vex King is a major voice in the world of personal development, an expert social media content creator with a following of 1.8 million. He is married to the London-born Indian beauty influencer Kaushal Beauty. Follow him for more positive good vibes at Vex King.
And lastly, for sixth form, we recommend Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Shoe Dog by Phil Knight is what the path to business success really looks like. Fresh out of business school, Phil Knight borrowed $50 from his father and launched one of the most recognizable sports brands on the planet. The brand's mission was simple: import high-quality, low-cost running shoes from Japan. Selling the shoes from the boot of his car, Phil Knight grossed $8,000 in that first year in 1963. Today, Nike's sales top $30 billion, and its famous tick is more than just a logo. The man behind the Nike tick has always been a mystery until now. In this funny, surprising, and humble memoir, Phil tells his story at last and how he created a brand and culture that changed everything.
You may have heard of TED Talks, but this is Red Talks. This game will test your articulation and put you on the spot. You have 1 minute to talk about one topic with one chance to explain without hesitations or deviations. This month we're putting Miss Quinn Guest to the test, and she's going to be talking about a non-fiction topic of our choice. We've decided to give Miss Quinn Guest Dormers Wells High School. Let's see how she does.
When I started working at Dormers Wells High School, I found that there was an interesting array of students in the building and in the grounds, particularly in the field and the Muga. There were always people playing and entertaining each other with stories of their lives and
Okay, that's not bad. Give me a round of applause.
Thank you.
It is very difficult to do that. Does anyone want to have a go?
Anyone beat me?
Okay.
Some of 7QU thought they could beat Miss Quinn Guest.
I started Dormers Wells High School in a way.
When I first joined Donald Wells High School, I made a lot of friends, and I have this one friend called Kinza.
No, she said friend, and first she said friends. It's a different word.
Oh, okay. The English teacher has spoken.
Your topic is KSI. Go.
So I love KSS, thick of it, so I'm in the thick of it every time.
You repeated thick of it.
I love KSI's new song. It's I'm in the thick of it, everybody knows. They know me where it snows, I speed in and big birds. I don't know nothing about ice on the cold. What is that? Maybe for the circle and told. From the screen to the ring, to the pen to the king was my calmness weapon. Always drama when I ring. See, I believe it. I see it in my heart, especially this evening because I'm reaching for the stars. What?
And that's a wrap for Red Talks this month.
Thank you to Miss Quinn Guest for taking part.
As of yet, Mr. Hidalgo is still in the lead.
Will Mr. Hidalgo remain unbeaten with his score of 25 seconds on the clock? Find out next month as we take another teacher to the hot seat.
It's time for What's Your Flavour?
Good morning, Manmeet, or as they say in Portuguese, bom dia.
Bom dia.
Now, just like me, you are also a Ronaldo fan, which is why you've currently been reading all about Ronaldo's life from the playground to the pitch and how he became a legend playing for Real Madrid and Portugal. So far, I know that you've read quite a bit about him online from TikTok and YouTube, but can you tell me something new that you've learned as a result from reading this book, something that maybe wasn't mentioned online?
I read online that Ronaldo's mother didn't want him as a baby and she didn't support him, but that isn't true. In the book, it mentioned she was actually happy to be pregnant with Ronaldo, but was worried how she was poor going to look after another child when the family was already poor.
Exactly. His mother was and still is his number one cheerleader and always supported him. So I think the message here is that while social media is great for discovering all sorts of information, we mustn't underestimate the power of reading books too. Because anyone can upload articles on the internet which leads to misinformation or fake news. But because books get reviewed and fact-checked many times by different people, they're actually more reliable sources of information in comparison to what we read online. So moving on to question 2, I want you to imagine you're describing the book to a friend, but you can only use 3 words. So what 3 words would you choose?
I would choose the words inspiring, motivational, and funny.
Excellent. I've read this book too, and I think that those words really sum this book up well. And finally, who would you recommend this book to and why?
I think this is mostly for fans of football and people who love Ronaldo. But even if you don't like football or Ronaldo, there is an inspiration and motivation for everyone. He is an example of someone who turned his life around through hard work and dedication.
That's brilliant, Manmeet. Let's hope you've inspired someone to pick up and read this book today. Ciao!
Ciao!
Now, it's fairly common for students to not prioritise reading or not enjoy reading for various reasons. So we're here to hear you out.
The Ranting Room is all about reversing the negative ideas attached to reading. We asked Year 9 what puts them off reading books, and here's what they said. I don't read books because it takes way too long. I don't like books with too many pages. I don't read as it's boring, and I don't like the genre, which puts me off from reading a book. In my opinion, it takes too long and I don't really have the patience. It also gets boring.
Look, we get it. You're at high school, you have a packed timetable, and it's likely you have certain books that you have to read for school anyway. You just don't feel you have the time to sit and read a long book. Well, this is where short stories come in. They are great for busy schedules like yours. Some of them can be read in one sitting rather than having to read over a few days, which is why short stories are a really good way to ensure that you still find time to read something fun for yourself. Short stories are a fantastic way to build and develop your literacy skills, something you will need in real life when you apply for your dream job. Short stories help you to learn how to present information in a short, concise way, but still impactful. What's more, being exposed to correct spelling, punctuation, and grammar is a great way to develop your vocabulary skills. Another thing that your future boss will look out for in your interview. So you see, reading is not just a skill for school, it's a skill for life. Why not start your short story journey with The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman? Our learning mentor, Mr. Jamu, recently read this and enjoyed it. It's available in the library now. In the meantime, here's another example of a short story I'll leave you to ponder with, so you can see for yourself just how impactful they can be. The last man on earth sat alone in a room. There was a knock on the door.
In a society that's chronically online, it only makes sense to address it, brain rot or not.
But online reading actually counts as reading too, as well as podcasts, audiobooks, video games, captions, and ebooks.
Okay, so we have something a little bit different this month. We're talking about revision tactics. Now, I know that sounds boring. Don't turn your nose up just yet. Revision can actually be fun. It is non-fiction because it is real life. We do have exams. Now, when you think of revision, you're probably thinking of mind maps, long lists, and big fat stacks of textbooks. But how about doing something a bit different?
Alright, cool. Man's got some lithium metal there, innit? A rare thing, trust me. So obviously lithium's in group 1 like sodium, innit? So it's an alkali metal, you get me? It has a dark grey layer on the outside because obviously the lithium's react with the oxygen in the air to form lithium oxide, innit? But the inside is bare shiny and nice and that. Now, because it's on a group 1 thing, it's soft and squishy like sodium. Not as soft, but you can still cut it and that, you get me? Shiny settings, come on, you know what's going on. Alright, boom, so we're going to slap it into some water and see what I go on, innit? Obviously, man's just pouring it up, you done know. Alright, cool, let's go, yeah? Into the water. Alright, so we can see little fizzing going in and that, some gas being released, so that's hydrogen gas, innit? Now the scientific term for fizzing is effervescence, you get me? So the lithium metal is reacting with the hydrogen and the oxygen in water to form lithium hydroxide. That's an alkaline thing, you get me? Come on, you know what's going on.
And there are so many other creators keeping revision interesting for everybody. Let's move on to the library lowdown, the roundup of everything you need to know about what's happening in the heart of the school. Cricket fans are in for a treat. So many of you told us that you wanted to read books about your favourite cricket stars.
Meet the champion Indian batsman Virat Kohli in this stunning biography from the Amazing Cricket Stars series. From when he was a small boy, Virat Kohli's special talent for cricket has wowed those around him, his family, friends, and eventually his colleagues on the Indian national team. Discover the inspiring story of one of the greatest cricketers of all time.
And it doesn't stop there. Cricket fans are sure to love this biography of one of India's most recognisable cricket icons, MS Dhoni, aka Captain Cool. From his early years starting off as a goalkeeper in football, to how he became captain of a successful India's cricket team, and what Dhoni did to bring home cricket's most coveted trophies to India, from the World Cup to the T20 Championship. If you love football, we have a selection of new football books in the library. Written by Matt and Tom Oldfield, Ultimate Football Heroes is the #1 football series in the whole world, with over 1 million copies sold.
Ultimate Football Heroes is a series of biographies that dives into the stories behind the world's best players, from classic heroes like Pele and Maradona to today's superstars like Mbappe, Haaland, Saka, Kane and Neymar. If you're football mad, you'll want to read all about the life stories of the biggest footballers in the world and their incredible journeys from childhood fan to superstar professional players.
And for magazine lovers, we have some new and favourites, including PC Gamer, 442 Football Mag, and Top Gear for the car enthusiasts. We also have What You Never Knew About Beyonce, Ariana Grande, Dwayne Johnson, Selena Gomez, Harry Styles. These are only just a few of the many non-fiction books that we have new in the library right now, so make sure you go along and check them out.
Presenting the Dormers Wells High School Reading Ambassadors. Our school librarian, Ms. Cattell, has recruited over 50 reading ambassadors to help promote the love of reading across our school. The reading ambassadors are from all year groups, ranging from year 7 all the way up to 6th form. They had to apply for the role and were specifically selected to help make book recommendations to you and offering suggestions on how to make reading more enjoyable in our school. They are easily identifiable by their turquoise Reading Ambassador badge. You'll see them in the library, maybe helping with organising bookshelves, at the loan desk, supporting in World Book Day activities, and lots more. We're really looking forward to seeing their role further develop as they take more ownership of their positions. We're putting you in charge with our new Book Review Corner. We want you to help other students across the school decide whether they should read a particular book. Simply take a review card from the book corner in the library and rate your book out of 5 stars. You never know who you might inspire.
And if you do decide to go to the library because of our podcast, make sure you say "read the room" to the librarians when you're checking out a book or asking for help to be entered into the Achievement Point Lotto. Our Achievement Point Lotto is a box full of potential prizes based in the library. You can see it on the screen here. You can either pull out achievement points, house points, or unfortunately, nothing. Take your chances and you might just be lucky enough to win. That's it from us today on Read the Room podcast. We hope you enjoyed this month's episode and have a few new reads to add to your list. Coming up next month, it's all about Christmas.
And we'll be sharing all of our festive favourites. If you have any questions, you can find me in the media room opposite the Year 10 Leaders Office. We've been Miss Grewal
And Miss Young. See you next month.